I find for most firms, it's about getting the magic, for the attorney, get the magic out of your head. Like, I know exactly how things have to go, but how do I communicate that to someone else? So I find for firms that want to keep that high level touch when we're going to a high volume situation, it's all about making sure the training plans, the practice area systems are built so everyone has a map to follow.
Yeah, I second that. I think we've been discussing this recently with some of our more rural firms, and I think you can automate things and you can also still have that personal touch, right? You don't have to lose all of it. It's just mixing it both, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think those are the things that really, when we think, because when people talk about AI, they get scared. Mm-hmm. When we talk about automation, it's scary, right? We couldn't even market as lawyers until the late 1970s. I mean, a website came out in the 90s, and law is an old profession. I say that to y'all as a lawyer myself. It's an old profession. So as we think about what that looks like, we really want to think about how can tools help us maintain that consistency. And if I can, I mean, Danielle and I work together, but if I can lean in and look over her shoulder at her task list and her responsibilities and see that something that's important to me, that's high priority, maybe for her, she hasn't even tackled it yet. Mm-hmm. But I can step in as the leader of my firm who wants things consistent, and from a very clear picture, be able to say to Danielle in a team meeting, hey, why is this thing more important than this other thing? And then we can talk about priorities and grow together. And then after Danielle, when we have Danielle part 2, right? Then and hopefully Audrey part 2. Yeah. Then Danielle part 2 can come in, and the next person, she can help assign that priority. But it all comes back to the client experience and building that team communication. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times it's interesting. I spoke for MyCase and LawPay on a financial wellness part 2 series last year, and I think there's probably the link, and we could put that in the comments or something like that.
Definitely.
But especially on that tiered structure, I talked a lot about that, and I talked about something I take very seriously, which is my own rule of 5, and I use that here. In my rule of 5, I always ask myself 5 key questions. Number 1 is, if I'm looking at a task, is it me? Number 1. Okay, if it's not me, if the answer is no, is it another attorney? Okay. If it's not another attorney, then I say, is it a serious, like high-level support person, like a paralegal or a law practice manager on my team, number 3. Mm-hmm. If the answer is still no, and it's an admin, then I have to ask question 5, why is it not technology? Because if it's something like sending out a questionnaire, why is that not happening over and over again? Mm-hmm. And I bring that up here specifically because in some ways I disagree with the question. I think all communication is critical. The number 1 bar complaint for over 10 years in the nation is lawyers don't respond and communicate with clients. So we have to do that. So I would instead ask the attorneys, instead of thinking about it from communication, keep that across the board. Mm-hmm. But when we think about legal services, what can a smart workflow like we can build in a MyCase or a Docketwise build for us? I mean, that could be amazing. What if it intelligently moved a case forward? Mm-hmm. That's how we take, in my opinion, those tiered cases and make the ones that require less of me in them or less than my senior staff in it. Then we're looking at how we move it forward more effectively. So still the same level of communication, because we never want a potential client or an actual client to feel like they're not as important as someone else.
Mm-hmm. Are you going through, every single kind of category of case and saying, okay, this one is at, level 5 or this one is at level, 3? Is that kind of how you went about that?
Exactly. I mean, that's and you have to think about it from a couple different hats. Why do I want this type of case? Is it because of the money it makes me? Is it because of the advocacy that I love providing my community? Is it because this is a service that my paralegal and legal team and software can handle and I just need to make that great connection? Because I think one of the beautiful things about using law practice management software is it lets us advocate for more people. And as lawyers, that's what we want to do. We want to help people.